Girl, I know you wanna, you know I wanna. Yeah, she keep giving me looks hotter than the 6 in the summer. Dead ass, girl, I want. Girl, I know you wanna, you know I wanna. Yeah, yeah, she keep giving me looks. Yeah, girl, I know you wanna. She's a spice, ride pipe like bike, like Yokohama. She heard the ting bend like banana, so she wanna give me the adunanani. Oh, yeah. She say I'm a sweeter man, but she say that she don't need a man. I say why don't we make an agreement, then we can just while we're being friends. Girl, I know you wanna, you know I wanna. Girl, I know you wanna, you know I wanna. Shorty too fly though, that's all I know. She don't sing songs, but if I go strong, she gon' hit this high note. She knows she working with the nana, and she wanna give me the adunanani. Oh, yeah. She say I'm a sweeter man, but she say that she don't need a man. What if we make an agreement, then we can just while we're being friends. Girl, I know you wanna, I know you wanna. Girl, I know you wanna, I know you want to, girl. Ride the pipe like a bike, oh. Do the things you know I like, oh. I'm the man in my ends, oh. You're the one that's not pretend, cause the pussy too good, drink too strong, I too change, I'm too sprung. Yeah. I, pussy too good, drink too strong.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. It is Friday night. We are back. We had a 1-week vacation last week, so you didn't get the Q&A, but you get the Q&A here this week before I'm on vacation again next week. So we're going to make a good one here tonight. Big news at the start of the stream here tonight is we're doing a giveaway for a Dynasty team review. If you guys have been members of the Discord, you guys know that we're doing this because we were getting people to join a survivor pool. We're trying to do a survivor pool with the community. So if you guys, have joined that, you were one of the first 25 people to join that, you are entered for the giveaway here tonight. And everybody else, we're going to do another one when we get to 50. So if you haven't joined yet, you want to, you can do that at 50. Want to show some love to everybody who's been in the chat already early on. Alex, iKill, Mostly, FA3, all of you guys. Appreciate you being here. But look, man, we are going to do this. We are going to do this giveaway. So hold on. We might have a little bit of an issue here. I got a cat here that's a little bit upset that I'm yelling into a microphone all of a sudden. So maybe not. We might just kick her out. Hold on. We're just going to kick her out. Let's do it. And maybe that'll start another issue in itself. You know, it might start one where we get meowing under the door, but hopefully it's not too big of a deal. So anyways, we are going to be doing the giveaway. Let's stop dealing with some damn cats. Let's just pull this up on screen. Hopefully you guys have already joined the thing so you can be into it. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up on screen right now. Here we go. Bang. All right, so we do have the giveaway here, folks. Like I said, this is going to be for people who have already joined the top 25 or the first 25 people to have joined that survivor pool. Now, we are going to give away this team review. I do, before I spin this wheel, want to do a little bit of a promo at the beginning of this. So, folks, if you haven't joined that survivor pool, you want to join the survivor pool, this is the survivor pool we are talking about. Season 1 of us doing this $20 buy-in. NFL teams are what you are picking each and every week. Once you pick an NFL team, you cannot pick them again. You are going to be going until the last one is standing, and those people who are the last one standing will split that prize pool. This is all going to be done through League Safe, so funds are secure. They are safe. You probably have played in League Safe before if you're already in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues, and all of the picks will be submitted in Sleeper. So once you pay in League Safe, you pay the $20, you will have access to this league. And then if multiple people are winning or multiple people remain at the end of the year, you are going to split that prize pot with everybody. So really your main goal is to survive. If you survive, then you get some cash. You get some of the prize pool. So $20 to join. Like I said, if you guys haven't done it, we are going to be doing a giveaway at 50 people. So I just dropped that link in the chat for the folks who haven't had it already. That is going to be the live chat. That's the League Safe. Once you pay your $20, like I said, you'll get the join link for you in your email. So we are going to do that giveaway. Like I said, I have it up on screen. These are the top 25 people, or the first 25 people who have joined. Let's go. And it looks like Anthony P. 4317 is going to be our giveaway winner. So Anthony, I will reach out to you on Discord, but if you're watching this live stream, if you're watching on the replay, you just want to know if you won the giveaway, hit me up in Discord, in the DMs. Let's schedule something to get you a free Dynasty team review. So there you have it, folks. That was the giveaway here tonight. Now it's back to business. It's getting into the questions that we have here. So let's just start answering these questions and we will go from there. So, let's see. First one I got here is a 12-team half PPR. I have Bijan and London. Who should I pick? Allen, Love, Neighbors, Olave, Jacobs, Rice, Hall, or Loveland? And I'm assuming that this, okay, looks like, hold on. Maybe this is a redraft question. I just want to make sure. We are in redraft season. You know, people are starting to draft those redraft teams. So I'm going to assume that this is going to be the same type of league. Watson, Tate, Odunze, Price, Evans, Jacobs, Hall, Lennon, Lamb. Okay, I think the best picks on the board for me right here probably going to be Warren is the best pick on the board for me, and then I would probably have either one of the running backs in Price, or if you want to go elite at one of the QBs, you could go with one of the QBs. I think I'd have JD5 over Hurts this year. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think I'd probably be going with Warren. And then if I go with one of the elites at Warren, I'm probably going to take Price there. That's probably going to be my two picks. And he says, yes, both redraft. So that's the first one there. This one is going to be the same thing. Bijan and London, Allen, Love, Neighbors, Olave, Jacobs, Rice, Hall, Loveland. I do like Olave a lot for redraft leagues, especially with the Jordan Tyson news. So I think Olave would be my pick here. Jaden Daniels or T-Law plus Burden. I think this is one where I probably would go with T-Law and Burden, but that's not necessarily because I want to keep a guy like Burden. I think you just can flip him for even more than he's probably worth right now. It's from a points per game perspective, most likely for us this year. So I'll take T-Law and then I'll try and flip Burden and get something else there. Almost Brodunze season. I love to see it. It's going good, man. Appreciate you. Hopefully everything's going good with you as well. Vikings 5-5 says, working on a deal and it's been standstill for weeks. He wants Judkins, a mid to late 27 first and a mid to late 27 second for Loveland and Rashad White. I want a tight end God squad. I keep telling him it's too much. Judkins in a first and a second for Loveland. It does kind of feel a lot. Now, if you're in a tight end premium, I could understand wanting to pay a little bit, to get up and go get that. But it's going to depend on the premium. I think that's going to be a difference maker for me and how I would, give you some advice here. If it's not tight end premium, you got to keep Judkins in the picks. You guys can probably hear that. Hold on. Like I said, we're going to have an issue. I knew we were going to have an issue. 1 second. this is just the reality of it, folks. I mean, it is what it is. We're here. You got a spoiled, rotten pet in the house, and sometimes it is they rule the world. We just live in the house that they live in, right? Of all of Garrett Price, shout out to Garrett Price. Of all the analysts that you have worked with, who is your favorite and why is it Garrett? I don't know if Garrett would be at the top of my list, honestly. I think Garrett would probably be somewhere in the middle. No, I'm just kidding. Of all my favorite analysts, I've worked with a lot of great analysts, actually. Garrett, you're obviously one of them. My respect for you more than anything. But worked with Nick Ercolano. Nick Ercolano taught me a lot in this industry. So I'd say I've worked with quite a few good analysts in this space. You're definitely one of them, Garrett. But I won't stroke your ego too much. Would you keep KW3 on a 1-year punt? I'm always okay to move the running backs in a 1-year punt, especially if I think I can flip him for, a guy that I think has some more value next year and get a little bit of value insulation from that running back that I'm down tiering to and get a draft pick too. So an idea of that would be like Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson, a little bit undervalued. If you think he does take a little bit of a step forward in year 2, maybe you take that down tier, get a pick thrown into the deal or something thrown in. I think that's always something I'm okay to do. I don't think KW3's Kenneth Walker's a must keep in a 1-year punt. I'm looking to get a 27 first that might be mid or late. He's looking for a wide receiver. My wide receivers are JSN, Olave, Tyson, Burden, Tet, QJ, Addison, and Pearsall. Who should I trade? Well, obviously JSN, Olave are too much for a single 27 first. Ted's too much for a 27 first. I think you just start the conversation with, I'd probably rather keep Tyson and Burden than the 27 first. I think so. So honestly, for me, I'm just trying to start the conversation around Addison. That's probably where he's going to want to take it. But if he wants like Addison in a second, like a late second, if you're a contender to go into that mid first, I'm okay doing that. But I probably want to start your conversation around Addison. It's tough because your assets here, though, they're either too expensive or they're not, expensive enough. Looking at Pearsall there. This will sound crazy, but full PPR with a full extra point tight end premium, Jamar Chase or Brock Bowers. Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy, but when you get 2 points per reception for the tight end, I'll be honest, Alex, I think you got to go Brock Bowers there. I do think that much of a premium for the tight end, it makes me want to have him. Took over an orphan in need of a retool. I traded ETN, Christian Watson for a mid 27 first, early 26, 2-4, and a 27 third. ETN. I think ETN for the first is probably fine. Watson for the 26, 2, 3, 4, and a 27 third. It's probably fine. In a retool, sometimes you do have to sell a little bit less. You're not always going to get 100%, of your value for your dollar. So I don't have an issue with this trade at all. Why is Matthew Berry a hater? What is this? A-Rod, is this because he doesn't like Bo Nix? This is probably because he doesn't like Bo Nix, right? 10-team Superflex have a pretty young team. Bijan, Genty, Loveland, McConkey, Olave, but terrible quarterbacks with Geno Smith and Jared Goff. Hey, don't throw Jared Goff in the same conversation as Geno. And I'm not even the Lions guy. I'm a Vikings guy, bro. And we're going to throw him in the same conversation? What are we doing? I know you didn't actually do it, but kind of read it that way. Go all in on getting a QB1 or try to retool. I mean, the reality is in your 10-team leagues, QB is going to be a little bit devalued. So the fact that you have Bijan, Genty, Loveland, McConkey, Olave, I think you have a really good roster. I would be curious to know the rest of the roster. It doesn't feel like it's overly elite for a 10-man league. Having Bijan and Genty is obviously great. If you were to make a move, though, it's probably by down-tiering one of those running backs, which doesn't sound like something I really want to do, but that would kind of be the route that I would look, would probably be down-tiering Genty and getting a little bit of a lesser RB2, but upgrading your QB somewhere. I don't think you have to. I'd probably just try and play the budget option at QB and and stream that QB2 slot. I think Jared Goff's going to be fine enough that most weeks you'll be okay with him as your QB1. There may be some down weeks, but I think you just stream that QB2 if you can. Oh, this definitely helps it. I mean, you said you have all your future picks and Mendoza. So yeah, so if you have Mendoza, you're weaker in terms of a 10-man super flex at quarterback, but I think you're okay, especially if you're super strong elsewhere. What would it take, or what should it take, to get Cyrus Allen out of my diamond hands in a 12x9 super flex? I am also kind of with you where I am holding these diamond hand Cyrus Allen shares, and I am also trying to just see what happens. But really, I'm just trying to see what happens with him. I think it's a second round pick for me. Like, if it's a 2027 second, that sounds super high. I don't expect really many people willing to pay that. If somebody offers me a 27 second, I'm probably taking that 27 second and letting them roll the dice with Cyrus Allen. But if it's a third, a fourth, a fifth, I'm good. Those are dart throws to me anyways. And I feel like you've already seen signs of life from this dart throw in Cyrus Allen. So I'm not willing to, re-roll my dart throw for another dart throw. I'd rather just have it go for the second round pick. Garrett, can't believe it auto-corrected to me spelling my own name wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said you have to be somewhere in the middle, Garrett. If we can't even spell our name, and we can blame it on autocorrect, if we can't even spell our own name, we got to be somewhere in the middle, right? Also, the fact that, Garrett, we're still trying to get over the Jeremiah love hump, that's another thing, right? A-Rod says, yeah, bro, roasted my bow take with terrible logic. A guy who finished back-to-back QB7 and said he only sees as a QB10 finish best case scenario. I understand to an extent. I understand. I think Bo Nix is he's such an interesting case study because I feel like everything we have seen tells us that he should continue to keep finishing, and then you get the improvement of Jalen Waddle, and he should continue to keep finishing in that top 10 territory. QB 10 saying that's the best case scenario for him, I don't know if I would go that far, but I think QB 10 is a respectable case scenario for him. I think it really comes down to how much rushing do we get off of this ankle. I know Bo says he wants to keep rushing. So how much rushing do we get? And where do the touchdowns look? And last year they threw the football a ton. Does that regress a little bit? Maybe they're not throwing the football at a number one clip in the NFL like they were last season. I think he had it was like 550 something plus passing attempts last year. They're not doing that. And that was Denver, right? That wasn't just Bo, but Bo was basically playing quarterback the whole year. If they're not doing that again this year, and they run the football a little bit more with the healthy Dobbins and Jonah Coleman and RJ Harvey, I could see a little bit of regression despite the situation improving a tiny bit, but I don't know. A-Rod, I didn't even get a chance to check out your thing. Was he roasting your article specifically? Was he roasting your article? Amon-Ra and DK or Jettas and JMO. This is interesting because I do have Amon-Ra over Jettas in my rankings, but I do have JMO over DK quite a bit. I think I'd rather go with the Jettas and JMO side. I think I get more value in the two pieces than I do for the one piece there with Amon-Ra and DK. DK is such a weird piece for me to evaluate in Dynasty right now because I look at that situation and I don't expect them to really throw the football a ton this year with Aaron Rodgers at his age and just that offense in general. You add additional target competition in Michael Pittman Jr., who I could argue might end up leading that room in targets when it's all said and done. And then Jeremy Bernard, a player that I thought was talented coming out of college, ends up going into a situation where he could just end up being that slot guy as the third wide receiver, taking a little bit of targets. So it's an interesting situation. I'm not very big on DK Metcalf. He is a guy who is like scraping by to still be ranked within my top 50 wide receivers in Dynasty right now. So it's kind of where we're at with him, unfortunately, because I think there are people who really do like DK Metcalf. I just haven't been one of them. I have never been a DK Metcalf truther myself. But let's see. What do we got, folks? I'm going to remind you guys, too, we are going for about an hour. I know it was a little bit weird at the beginning of the stream. We did the giveaway. The cat was having a temper tantrum, and now she's just chilling here with us, I guess. So apparently we're all good. But keep throwing those questions in the chat. We'll go until about 8 p.m. And then at that point, we're off for the night. My wife should be coming home here shortly, and then we'll be chilling. So I'm here to answer your questions for 40 minutes. If you guys have them, throw them in the chat. I'm going to answer as many as I can. Scott says, are we holding Tyson on a contender? Really like him and feel like this is a sell low window. Yeah, I'm not selling Jordan Tyson if I just drafted him. And if I'm on a contender, it doesn't really matter for me either. I think the reality with Jordan Tyson at the moment is he's a player that there was injury concerns coming in, to the NFL with him. And he was even dealing with a hamstring injury. Reportedly, it was a different hamstring than he has right now, but it was a hamstring injury at the NFL Combine where he wasn't able to work out. He did a private pro day, all that good stuff, right? So this is a player who already had the concerns. You go into the first parts of your NFL career and people who already had you kind of pegged as like a red flag candidate or a yellow flag candidate, now all of a sudden you are having these concerns. I understand why people are nervous and why people might be thinking that this is a sell window, or maybe this is just another red flag on the other red flags that you might have seen with his prospect profile. But when it comes to production on the football field and talent when he's on the football field, I don't really have any concerns with that. So for me, it's really just not a player where I'm willing to give up on what I believe the talent level is because we're dealing with an injury as a rookie. This is probably going to dampen his rookie season. I'm not going to expect him to really break out. It's going to be a good bump for Chris Olave. That's why I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm kind of, for single season formats, redrafts, best balls, whatever, I'm rising on Chris Olave with the Jordan Tyson news because I think we could see another season where he's getting 140, 150 plus targets. But Jordan Tyson's long-term outlook has not changed for me even a bit. Not at all. I still feel about him the same way that I felt about him 2 weeks ago. It's just he's dealing with an injury now. So he's not somebody that I am selling. If I'm a contender, I'm still keeping him. Because I also don't believe that if you do try and sell him, now given every league market is different, but if you could go sell him for, I don't know, like what his value was before the injury, if other people are treating him like me where they're like, I'm not going to move him down the board, yeah, you could pivot off of him on a contender, but I don't think people are going to give you that grace in the trade market. So unless people are valuing him the way he was pre-injury, which most likely everybody trying to buy Jordan Tyson right now is trying to buy him at 80 cents on the dollar, 70 cents on the dollar, it's not worth selling, man. I'd just be holding on to him. If you believe in the talent, you said you liked him as a prospect, you like the talent. If you believe in him, keep holding on to him, man. Rookie draft, PPR, half-point tight end premium, best ball. Take Sadiq, Ty Simpson, or Stribling. Mark Andrews, Shuck, and A.J. Brown / T. Higgins as starters in each position. Interesting. I mean, just based off of my rankings, Sadiq is going to be the highest guy for me in my own rookie rankings. Best ball doesn't really change the format for me here too much. Stribling has been a riser. Sorry, I kind of have like hiccups right now. Stribling has been a riser for me. I think I was looking at my rankings today and I was like, we could probably really have an argument for Stribling right now. 201, 202, 203 type of range. Pretty easily. Like I think that's where we're starting to really easily have conversations about Stribling right now, given the first 2 preseason games. But I still have Sadiq in even a half-point tight end premium. I would still have Sadiq as like a top 7 to top 8 pick. So I would take him there, and he would probably be my selection there if I were you. A-Rod says they had employees / freelance people submit a 30-second clip making our case for ride or die player this season, and I said Bo, and he was disgusted. Okay, so he actually was legitimately... I need to go check that out, A-Rod. I saw it. I saw you say that he was hating, and I saw the Bo Nix thing. I just hadn't clicked into it yet. I need to go check that out, because that's funny if he was actually roasting your take and your clip. Maybe not fun for you, but it's kind of funny. Everybody can't agree. That's not this is fantasy. Nobody's always going to agree. He said he reviews the clip during his happy hour show and then posted the clip individually. So that's what. Okay, yeah. I got to go check that out, dude. I'm going to watch that right after this stream because that sounds funny. Burrito, what's up, man? Says, wondering about moving from Tate to Tyson and trying to buy low. Would extra plus, I'm assuming, what extra plus would you be looking for? Well, I have Tate over Tyson in my rankings. I think this would further, I'm trying to play the market with this, right? Because I'm trying to think about where the market is on Tyson and where I am. And I know the market's going to be lower than I am, so I want to pay closer to the market price than what I believe. I would probably be trying to go and see how big that gap is. I mean, if you look at like KTC and Fantasy Calc and some of these other places, the gap already for Tate and Tyson is pretty large. I want to say I was scrolling through KTC just yesterday. I can't remember. I think I was looking for like risers and fallers on KTC because they show you like 30-day risers, and Carnell Tate, I think, is already a top 12 ranked wide receiver or top 11 ranked wide receiver or something in that rank. The Carnell Tate hype has gotten crazy. So if I'm trying to sell Carnell Tate based off of where his perceived value is, the hype on Tate, the low press or the low, the bad press on Tyson, I'm trying to start the conversation where it's Tate to go to Tyson and a future first. I'm trying to have that conversation and see if they'll play ball. Maybe some will. Maybe some are panicked on Tyson enough, or they viewed Tate as a higher prospect anyways, and now you're trying to, move back. Maybe that's where you're at. So I think you can start the conversation there. But I will say, that being said, Burrito, if it's only a second, I'd rather just hold Tate. So you got to get the first. The first would move me back. If it's not the first, it's going to be just hold Tate. Just traded away Pearsall and Cyrus for a 27 second in my massive rebuild. I didn't think Cyrus would keep getting hype, but it's still building. It really is. It's still building. And I think throwing Pearsall in there helps. Pearsall to me is somebody that I've started to move off of and really just, I hope it works out for him. And I think it still can maybe eventually, but if you can get a second round pick in next year's draft class where it's a little bit deeper and you're rebuilding like your team is, makes a ton of sense. I have no issues with that at all. Brandon says, I traded Lamar for Dart and a early 27 first. I don't mind that. I really don't. I've been higher on Dart than I think some other people have been this offseason. I know some people are skeptical of Jackson Dart. I like the rushing upside that we saw. I don't think the rushing upside is going to change too much. You get Malik Neighbors to come back. I just don't believe that we've seen the ceiling of Jackson Dart. And yes, Lamar is in his prime, and yes, he could still give you a couple more seasons, but I do have some concerns about him long-term with his play style and, some of the rushing that regressed last year. Getting the early 27 first, I mean, if that ends up being Jeremiah Smith, or in a super flex you're able to get an Arch Manning, or your choice of the quarterback of next year's draft class, or Cam Coleman, I don't see an issue where that's, a big loss for you long-term. Could you lose it this year? Yeah. You could, but I think long term, I could see the route where Dart in the early first still makes sense. Alex says, Bo should have a good year. He's been good both of his pro years. Now he has Waddle. I mean, I don't think he's a top tier, but as a Chargers fan, I'm scared of him, so that means something. There you go. A-Rod will be happy to hear that. I agree with you, though. I agree with you. What's up, Garage? Appreciate you for stopping in and hanging out. Sir Dinesh says, what do you think? Hopefully I said that right. Dinesh? Yeah. What do you think about my squad? 10-team redraft PPR. Drake May, JT, Achan, AJB, Pickens, K9, Fannin. I mean, that's a pretty good squad just off the rip. I mean, you got one of the top quarterbacks in football. JT and Achan, that gives you 2 top 10 running backs. I think AJB, Pickens, that's probably where you went the most budget options, but you still get high-end outcomes there. K9 and Fannin, it's a pretty damn good team. I will say it's a pretty good team. Should be pretty competitive. How far is Bo and JD in terms of value? I think JD's rushing upside is just significantly higher to where it's kind of a trump card for him. That gives him a range of outcomes that I don't think Bo can hit from a fantasy points per game perspective, assuming all things go right. I do like the addition of Diggs. I think they needed that. I think that was a perfect fit on paper, and it just makes a ton of sense that Diggs is there. It's probably a first. I think Bo and a 28 first to get to JD. That's probably the difference. 28, I don't think it's a 27. But a 28 probably. I'd be more in on Dart if he'd stop his love affair with the blue tent. Hey, the last visit to the blue tent was not his fault, bro. That was not his fault. And there's a reason Najee Harris got signed the next day. That was not his fault, bro. But I get you. Also, though, I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to come back to you, IKill. Part of the reason why you get the high-end ranges of outcomes with Dart, though, from a fantasy points per game perspective, is because he has this mentality. So it's kind of like, what do they call that? I know there's a phrase for that, but it's a catch-22, right? Like, you risk that with Dart, but you also get higher points per game because of that with Dart. So I'm always the type of guy, I think it's like the classic fantasy football question. I feel like I see this every year where somebody's like, would you rather have this player who's going to play 13 games in your lineup, but he averages 17 fantasy points per game, or would you rather have a guy who averages 15, but he plays 17 games? You know what I mean? Like, you get more per game from the guy who misses a little bit more time. I'm always the guy that's like, I'd rather have more in a per game basis than I would have the guy who's a little bit healthier for one or two more games. I can stream it. That's what this shit is for, man. We can stream a position, but I'd rather have more in a points per game basis. Do you guys know the question I'm talking about? I feel like I see it on the internet every year. People always ask the same question. Are a lot of people fading Lemon? Just had him fall to me at the 107 in a rookie draft. I don't think people are fading him. 107 does feel a little bit odd because I have him kind of in that 106 territory where there's a tier break for me at the 106. Maybe just the hamstring injuries and things like that in the early parts of, because he's been dealing with hamstring injuries as well. Maybe that's the reason why people are fading him a little bit. Also, I would not be shocked though, IKill, if you told me Price was the reason why somebody got drafted, the weaker running back class, somebody reached on Price at 6, or maybe KC got a little bit of hype because KC Concepcion's been getting some hype. Somebody drafted him. I don't think people should be fading Lemon. I don't think Lemon is getting faded by most people, but 107 feels like a good value for you. It just feels like somebody reached into a tier that they shouldn't have. This is crazy. Johnny says JD feels like Stroud 2.0. I mean, look, we've seen guys do this before, right? Stroud, you just mentioned him. I know people who think that Jackson Dart is the next Stroud too. Like, we just go through these guys who have good rookie seasons and then, you know, they grow or they struggle to grow over the next couple of seasons. I think JD is not in the same range as Stroud because I feel like when he was healthy last year, he was playing fine football. It's just he got hurt and he missed a good chunk of the season. But the rushing upside was still there, and he was playing with probably a worse supporting cast by a small margin. But this supporting cast should be better this year, so we'll see. Reportedly healthy. We just got to get Mama Bear out of the way because I feel like she's a little bit too involved. Dart or T-Law from Dynasty Price Check. For me, I have them in the same tier. I think T-Law is the safer pick. Although you could really argue that both of these guys, we really don't have too much to go from. I mean, T-Law's had the longer career. We got the high-end range of outcomes last year with Liam Cohen as the play caller. But we've really been waiting for T-Law to give us that type of production. He would be my pick. I have him over Dart. But it's close. They're the same tier for me. I think it's more so the fact that I trust Liam Cohen in the situation with BTJ and Brenton Strange and Travis Hunter and Parker Washington and all of these guys there more than I do Malik Neighbors. And then we're trying to figure it out. Isaiah Likely obviously there, but we're trying to figure it out after that. T-Law over Dart. A-Rod, what do you know, bro? The more you know. The more you know, bro. The common advice is to always draft back in rookie drafts, but whenever I see trades on Discord, people vote for the highest draft pick. Is it just because 26 was so bad, or are we inconsistent? No, I think there is a little bit of the 2026 draft class being a pretty bad draft class. I mean, I say this wholeheartedly, and I mean it. I know some people have said it this offseason, but like, I truly mean it when I say this. I've been doing this content-wise since, what was it? I mean, I've been playing Dynasty for years, but I've been making content since the 2022 season. I didn't scout the 2022 draft class, but I did, at least on camera. But I did do the 23 draft class on camera. You can go look at my rookie rankings, 24, 25, 26. Those 4 years that I've been doing content on these classes, it was the worst one that I've ever scouted. And it wasn't necessarily close either. Like, it was very, very underwhelming from a talent perspective. But I do think trading back within tiers is always a decent idea, assuming you're getting good value for the trade back. If it's very minimal value, I'd rather be at the top of the tier. But if you're getting decent value, then I'm okay doing that. But where I have the tiers this year is Jeremiah Love by himself, 101. And then I have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those 4 players is the 3 wide receivers with Tate, Tyson, Lemon, and Mendoza. Those would be my 4. After that, I'm kind of in a tier where it's Sadiq, Price, Simpson, Concepcion. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. So I think for me, it is, yes, trading back is usually a good idea if you can get enough value in a trade back. If it's very minimal, it's not usually worth it. But yes, to answer your question, the 2026 draft class was very, very rough. It is the first draft class, and I can say this now that we're away from it, and maybe you guys could feel this from most creators in the space. This was a really hard draft class for me to talk about and be excited about on camera and try and sell, players and things like that. Not to say that I was, anybody was faking energy for this draft class. I think we were all very abundantly clear that this was not a good draft class, but it got tough to keep talking about this draft class over and over again, especially once you get through, a month or 2 of your initial analysis, you do the deep dives, you do your rankings. It's like, okay, I know what we have here. There's nothing new to take away from this. I don't really want to keep talking about it. So most years, if you go back and look at the channel, I was talking about rookie classes all the way up until right now. Like, we're still doing updated rookie rankings in the preseason. I don't really want to talk about the 2026 draft class right now. Like, I'd rather talk about veterans, like Breece Hall injuries and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have that information, those conversations right now, talk about trades, than I would go back and revisit the 2026 draft class before they even play football. So that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously, there's risers and stuff in the preseason. We've talked about them. We've talked about Stribling. We've talked about some of these other guys, but it was a rough draft class, man. It was a really rough one. How come Dak goes 2-3 rounds later than Burrow when he is essentially the same, if not better, receiving core? It's a good question. I mean, I think part of it is you feel like Joe Burrow maybe has more certainty. There have been previous years where, Dak has had less confidence from the Dallas front office. There was rumors just a couple years ago where Dallas was talking about Dak Prescott moving on from him. So maybe that's part of it. I think obviously last year we saw that it is just as good of a receiving core, maybe better. I still think that Cincinnati has the better receiving core with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but it's a good value to have Dak a couple of rounds later. To answer your question here, Smitty, I don't know. I don't know why he's going further, but if you have to choose between Burrow or a 3-round later Dak, I would probably just rather go Dak. Ikeel says, yeah, this draft class isn't wonderful. Didn't feel good taking Sadiq at 108, then mid-seconds on Bernard and Bell. I think that was the issue with it, was more so like you say mid-seconds. If you liked those guys, hell, I'm a Jeremy Bernard guy. I liked Jeremy Bernard. Still do. I still think he's a talented player. But if you liked a player, like, you had an argument to take those guys at the 201. Like, we were talking about 112 is really where guys started to open up. Like, it just was not a great class overall. I mean, we're taking incomplete profiles from guys like Jadarian Price, and the draft capital for Jadarian Price was great. The prospect profile was very messy, very incomplete, and we're taking him at the 106. You know what I mean? Like, some people are taking him 106, 107. So it's a draft class where there was a lot of messy collegiate production profiles, messy prospects overall. A lot of the guys in the draft class, like Bell and just a lot of guys, right, got like later draft capital than we wanted at the wide receiver position. Guys like Jacoby Lane didn't get great draft capital, but he's been a riser in the preseason process. It wasn't great all around. I mean, the NFL basically told us, we saw it in the pre-draft process, and we were like, hey, we don't really love the talent here. And the NFL basically told us in the NFL draft, like, we also don't love the talent here. We'd rather take defense or offensive linemen or, whatever other pieces than take these skill players. And so we saw the NFL kind of tell us as well at the NFL draft that they didn't love these guys either. Not to say that there can't be quality players that come out of it. There are going to be quality players that come out of this draft class. It's just you didn't really know who was going to be who. And so that's kind of why it's a bad class for the most part, or looked like a bad class on paper. Unexciting class, underwhelming class. Those are probably the better words to describe it. Would you trade Price for Javonte Williams as a contender? It's a good question. I think if it was me, I would probably rather roll the dice with Jadarian Price, because I don't see a world where Javonte Williams comes out and ends up being valued by the community as this top 12 dynasty running back. But if Jadarian Price comes out and plays well, I could see the community throw him into the top 12 of dynasty running backs pretty quickly. So for me, it's really just playing the bet on higher end ranges of outcomes. If the best thing happens for Javonte, maybe you get more production. But if the best thing happens for Jadarian Price, he could still be productive, but his dynasty value is going to shoot up higher, which might be able to buy you into a different tier of player or a more talented player. So for me, I'd probably still rather hold Price. I think he has a higher range of outcomes as far as value insulation goes for him. Johnny says, how concerned are you with Breece Hall's injury? Try to sell now or buy now? I'm not selling him. I have Breece Hall on a team. Funny enough, I have a team that has Breece and Jeremiah Love. That's my running back 1 and my running back 2. And so I'm kind of going into week 1 of the NFL season, not sure who I'm playing at running back. It might be going with Rico Dowdle and RJ Harvey right out the gates in week 1. But for me, I think Breece is somebody that I'm not too concerned with. I'm willing to just hold on to him and see what we get, because I do think he gets a good majority of that workload when he's healthy. To answer your question, I think I'm more so just trying to buy if people are panicking on him. I mean, you already have the Jet stench that kind of follows Breece Hall. People don't like the Jets, and so because of that, you're going to get a little bit of a value dip. You get an injury dip. I think if I can go get Breece, especially on teams where I can buy him and bring him in as like an RB2 on a team that already has like an established running back 1, then I'm feeling really good about that. If I'm a contending team and somebody wants to take my perceived late 27 first, where it's, the 111, 112, and they want a first for Breece, all day long, I'm going to take Breece Hall there. Like, I'd be willing to throw around some 27 firsts for Breece Hall if given the opportunity. I Blame Perk says, I'm in a keeper league at the 1-7, and the pick penalty is the first or second round pick can be kept, but will be placed at the same round. I want to take Genty over JT, Cook, and St. Brown. Is it crazy? I'm not going to say it's crazy. If that's your guy, that's your guy. I would have, in just single season format rankings, I would have all of those guys over Genty personally, but not by a long shot. I think it's probably going to be, depending on if it's full PPR or not, you probably have St. Brown, and that's JT, Cook, Genty for me, most likely in that order. I like James Cook a lot this year, but if Genty's your guy, Genty's your guy. So I don't think it's crazy. If you keep him, you keep him, man. They're all going to be kind of closely valued for the most part. For what it's worth, I think in a lot of these, underdog best ball drafts that I've been doing, Cook and JT and Genty have all gotten really close together to where you're kind of thinking about those guys starting about the 108, and then they're going at like 112, 113 is, or not 113, it would be 201. That would usually be the first one that Genty's coming off the board or Cook is coming off the board. Yeah, full PPR, I kind of want Amon-Ra. He feels like the safest and the highest range of outcomes in a full PPR. I guess to answer your question there, Perk, if I were to keep one, I would be keeping Amon-Ra. How far is Achane and Genty since Achane plus Evans for Genty? Or I sent Achane plus Evans for Genty, and he said I was trying to rob him. I think it's because mainly most people don't value Evans too much in Dynasty right now. I would say that Achane, and you also got to understand, you're selling Achane, who is, being perceived lower, I think, right now than his value is. I'm buying Achane at these prices. I'm not selling Achane at these prices. I think he's somebody that probably needs to be held if you believe in him as a player, because the value is not going to match where the trade market is right now. The reality is you probably got to come up off of a guy quite more valuable than Evans. I'm not going to say like it's going to be all the way up to like a T. Higgins level or that type of guy, but I would assume you'd probably have to get to like, at minimum, you probably got to get to like a Casey Concepcion level type of guy to even start the conversation. But that feels very low too for me, honestly. Like I would rather have Genty than Achane and KC. So you probably got to go even higher than that. We just got a super chat from Gilliam, so appreciate you for the super chat. I usually don't do this in the offseason, but for the folks of you at home, I usually will tell you guys, if you want to skip the line, this is the best way to do it, because I will always go to the super chat first. You guys are prioritized. So the question here is, a 12-team Superflex contending team was offered price and a third for Tyson. Am I selling low? Running backs are Achane, Jacobs, and Barkley. Wide receivers are Buka, JJ, London, Pickens, Watson. So, really knowing the team context here and going to price and a third for Tyson. I think for me, I would still rather have Jordan Tyson. Especially because when I look at your team, I do think you're fine at running back with Achane, Jacobs, and Barkley. So I think you're good there as a contender. I probably would buy low on Tyson. That feels like a little bit of a buy low. If I can move my price and a third for Tyson, I'm willing to do it. And I do think you could use the wide receiver a little bit more. So yeah, I would take Tyson on this side of the deal. Mostly says is BTJ enough to go back to the conversation with Achane and BTJ. I think that's maybe a little bit too much for me. I am in on the BTJ bounce back this year, so if that was the case, I would rather have Achane and BTJ than I would Genty. So it's somewhere in that middle for you. Hopefully you have a guy in that range. But if not, you could always do like a lower tier player and then throw a future second on top of it. All right, G Lath says, Ty Simpson or Jonathan Brooks? It's super flex and I'm contending. Simpson feels like a time deposit, whereas Brooks is super risky but has upside. And I have Hubbard to mitigate some risk. So this is very interesting. Let me ask you this, though. Is it a 12 team? Is it a 10 team? That might change my opinion here a little bit. But if it's a standard 12 team or 14 team super flex, I'm going to take the value for me, which is going to be Ty Simpson. I'm not super big on Jonathan Brooks. I know it's opening up a pathway for him right now to see some early opportunities. I do think it's still going to be a timeshare to an extent, but it's probably going to be Ty Simpson for me. I agree with you on the aspect of he feels like a time deposit where you just buy him right now and just over time it just slowly increases in value, and it's just going to happen over the next year or two. So for me, I probably would take Ty Simpson and just hold on to him. Ronnie, my guy, says, man, just woke up. Good thing to see my boy Andrew, and I hope all is well, brother. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you, Ronnie. Appreciate you stopping in, man. It means a lot. Thank you. Everything's well with me, so hopefully everything's well with you too. Perk says, what are your thoughts on Genty? Do you believe he can be at the level of Bijan or Gibbs? I see him having more pass catching work that raises his floor for me. 14 points per game could turn into 18 to 19 points per game. I do. I think the coaching change this summer is big for his future outlook. I think Kubiak's going to be a good addition for him. Play faster, run the ball. I think it's going to come down to how does Mendoza end up maturing at the NFL level? What does he look like as far as, pace of play, and how does this Raiders offense start to move? I still worry about how quickly they're going to move because the wide receiver core is still pretty bad. Obviously excluding Brock Bowers, but I think he's a guy that is probably going to find himself into that next tier this year. I know in Dynasty we're kind of already viewing him there, but I think from a points per game perspective, I could see him being in that same breath as guys we just talked about, right? Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. James Cook, I think, is a player who's a really... James Cook is a dark horse for me this year to finish as like the RB1. But I could see him being like a top 7 running back in fantasy football this year from a points per game perspective. Is he going to get to the Bijan and Gibbs level? I wouldn't count on that in 2026. Those guys are just a different level right now. And I like Gibbs over Bijan right now in single season formats. Brooks and a third for BTJ, 12 by 9. This was fairly easy for me. I'm going to take BTJ. If I can flip the risk of Brooks and just throw a third-round pick on top of that to go get Bryant Thomas Jr., somebody I believe is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Jags. Now, keep in mind, that's the wide receiver 1 for their team. Might not be the fantasy wide receiver 1 for them, but I think he's their long-term number 1 on the outside. I'm going to take BTJ there. Much better offense, too. Much better offense. Blake Corum worth the 27-second. I think to the right managers could be. I would debate trading that second. It'd have to be the right situation for me. If I'm the Corum manager, if the Kyron manager, maybe. I do think that Blake Corum, though, is probably going to be one of the higher-end handcuffs in fantasy football this year. Perk says, I popped in a few times last season. I'm excited to be here more often weekly. Love the channel and the content. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, in season, we live stream a shit ton. Like, we're going to be live streaming a lot. I think I'm live every Tuesday, Friday. No. Yeah, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday in season. So it's going to be 3 days a week. We're live, and then obviously content coming out the other days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all that stuff, dude. Lots of content. So it's always a grind. It's always the part of the year where it's like, damn, I'm trying to catch my breath. But yeah, it's definitely the most fun time of the year, and I'm excited to spend this season with all of you guys. So appreciate you guys for supporting the channel as always. I always appreciate you guys supporting the channel. It's just a grind. It's a grind to do this content creation thing, especially in this industry. This industry itself is very saturated to an extent. So when you have people that rock with you, support you, love the work, I'm always going to support you guys and be very thankful for you guys. So I appreciate you guys for being here for sure. More than you guys know. Mostly says, are you worried about the JD regression? If he gets hurt again and doesn't get back to where he was in year 1, he's going to fall into the QB 10 range and lose value. He definitely could. I think that's kind of like the painting the worst picture of what could happen this year for him. But it's definitely in the range of outcomes. We saw guys like Stroud who were, QB3 in Dynasty after his rookie season, and now he's QB 20 something. So it's always a risk with young QBs. I think Dart's another guy that we just talked about earlier in the stream where, he has a bad year. Could he regress and lose some of that value? Absolutely. But, it's just hard in the NFL to find super talented quarterbacks that have pedigree, have fantasy football upside, all that stuff. And JD's one of the few that does have all of those boxes checked. So I'm not super worried about him long-term, about really anything. Obviously the injuries, I don't want to see that happen. For the Brooks and Simpson thing, 12 by 10 super flex, 2 PPR for tight ends. That's a juicy little premium for the tight ends. Vanilla outside of that, Daniels, Murray, Brissett, Hampton, Walker, Chuba, JSN, London, Egbuka, Adams, Downs, Loveland at 27 first, and future picks is what he finishes that up with. So with Daniels, Murray, and Brissett, I do think I'd still go with the Simpson side. He's kind of where I lean anyways, but I don't know how I feel about Brissett long term. I don't even know if he starts the whole year. I think Carson Beck ends up getting some run. Probably should get some run if you're Arizona. Just see what the young kid has. So I do think I'd rather go with Simpson there, and I just hold on to him, man. Like you said, a little time capsule that you hold on to and it gains value over time. Of course, man. Appreciate you. iKill says, same retool, hold quorum or try and sell. I mean, I think quorum's at a value where you probably can sell him. I mean, if people are asking about 27 seconds and quorum, I'm definitely trying to sell quorum for those seconds. I don't see quorum being... I mean, here's the reality. Kyron Williams is under contract for the next couple of seasons still, so I don't really see quorum being the guy, and so I'm willing to flip him if I can get some good value for him. And a retool too. Running backs are always available. I will always say that. They're always available in a retool. Mostly says, do you have Marv over BTJ? I actually have BTJ over Marv. They're in the same tier for me in my rankings, but it is BTJ over him right now. In fact, let me see where I have them exactly so I can give you the numeric ranking for these guys. But yeah, I got BTJ as wide receiver 24 and Marv as wide receiver 25. So they're back to back. BTJ is one spot higher. Is Caleb Johnson cooked? And then mostly says he actually looked pretty solid. I don't know what the Steelers are doing here. I don't have a lot of faith in Caleb Johnson. I think I sold Caleb Johnson in a league this summer. Now, this was before Rico Dowdle was signed, or maybe this was right after Rico Dowdle signed. I think it was literally the day of. But I sold Caleb for a third. I was like, I'll just re-roll this shit, man. So I'm not very in on Caleb Johnson. It's tough because the staff that drafted him is no longer there, and the staff that is there now has history with Rico Dowdle. So it's tough for Caleb. I think it's going to be tough for Caleb Johnson to be relevant, man. It's going to take like 2 injuries too, because I think if Jalen or Rico gets hurt, you probably still just run the other one. 12-team Superflex PPR half-point tight end premium start 10 in a Dynasty future value wide receiver factory strong rebuilder. I love all of the tags. Bought Jaden Higgins for a 27 and 28 third bargain deal. I know, but then he got hurt a few days later. I'm still gonna hold out hope Higgins come back strong after and breaks out. Yeah, I mean, at that cost, I'm not worried about it, man. I'm not worried about the cost of 2/3. I kind of in my own leagues have been saying, like, if anybody still believes in Jaden Higgins long term, which I'm not saying I don't or do one way or another, I still think he's going to get, an opportunity to be the number 2 alongside Nico long term when he's healthy next year. But I've been kind of under the thought process that if somebody's willing to give me a 27 second, and even if it's a late one, like 210, 211, 212, I probably will take it and re-roll that and use that second round pick somewhere else. So my cutoff line has kind of just been a 27 second. Anything less than, I would rather hold Higgins and see what he does next year. For your case, what you paid for him is kind of just where I'd rather hold him and just see. Is Michael Wilson the real deal or a fluke season? It's funny, Johnny. I actually kind of think he's somewhere in between. I don't think he's what we saw at the back end of last year. I think that was circumstance for him, but I do think he's a guy that can be a top 25 to 30-ish wide receiver in fantasy football from a points per game perspective. In fact, in my Dynasty rankings, I have him as wide receiver 36. And so he's somebody that I do see as like a wide receiver 3 plus for us in fantasy, and I don't mind him at his current value. I actually think he is very properly valued in fantasy at the moment. Yeah, maybe. It's not a tough bar to be, over Caleb Johnson, I guess. And then mostly says they need to free that man KJ, let him go eat somewhere else. It'd be interesting if they cut him. It would be interesting to see like Caleb Johnson maybe getting signed by like the Packers. They don't have a lot of depth behind, and Marshawn Lloyd can't seem to keep his damn body in check. So it'd be interesting to see if like Caleb Johnson goes to back up Josh Jacobs, and maybe Josh Jacobs has the legal issues this year, or, you know, he seemed to wear down a little bit at the end of last year. That would be interesting. That would get me a little bit interested in Caleb Johnson. I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat, like, where do you think Caleb Johnson would go that would get you interested? That's insane, because I don't even think those guys were even in the same ballpark as prospects. Insidious says, guess I'm a little bit late. Superflex 6-point passing touchdown got Burrow the 304. That's pretty damn good. Getting Burrow there, and a 6-point passing touchdown for sure. So, yeah, I mean, Insidious, you did show up late. You're showing up as we're wrapping up, man. We did hit the hour mark. So I said we were going to go till about 8 p.m. Central. We are there right now. I do want to remind you guys one more time before we get on out of here. We did a giveaway at the beginning of the stream. We were giving away a free Dynasty team review, and we're going to be giving away more of those in the future. There is a very easy way to enter this, and it is to sign up for our survivor pool that we are doing. It is in the Discord. All of this is going to be hosted through Sleeper. All of the payments are through League Safe, so it's very safe. It's secure. If you've played Dynasty, you guys know about League Safe. But I am doing a survivor pool this year. It's going to be season 1. Really, what you're going to be doing is really just picking an NFL team each and every week. If you pick the wrong team, your team or the team that you pick loses their game that week, you are going to be eliminated. You go until it's the last one standing. Pretty simple rules, pretty simple to follow along with. But if you win, you advance. You go until the end of the year. If you make it to week 18 and you have not been eliminated, you haven't picked wrong, you do get to split the prize pot with everybody else who has survived. If you're the only one who has survived, you get the entire prize pot. And right now, I think the prize pot is like, I want to say it's like $650 at the moment. So, you know, not super light, but also not super heavy. We're going to try and get a lot more in there for the most part. But once we hit 50 signups, we're going to do another free team review. I think we're at like 29 or 30 right now. So 20 people over the next couple of weeks. If you guys sign up, you will be entered to win a free Dynasty team review. But I'm going to hit these last couple questions super rapid fire on the way out, and then we will get on out of here. If I answered your question tonight, do me the favor, hit the like button. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed. If you're talking in the chat, you already are subscribed, and go join the free Discord. All right. Caleb to the Vikings would be interesting. I think so. Maybe long term. As a Vikings fan, I wouldn't be super thrilled. I think it feels a little bit wasted. I think I like Damon Claiborne more than Caleb Johnson, personally. And I don't even like Damon Claiborne. Alec Pierce, the real deal or overinflated contract? I think it's an overinflated contract. I don't know what they're doing. The most talented wide receiver on that roster to me is actually Josh Downs. I like Josh Downs more. Anywhere besides Pittsburgh, yeah, I mean, makes sense. I'll be joining soon. I'll probably be... You just got to pick a team to win, man. If you think the Bills win this week, pick the Bills. I don't think there's anything, being good or being ass. I think you just pick the team you think's going to win. Pretty straightforward. Would you do Cajun Allen at 27, 28 second, projected late, 12-team Superflex, half-point tight end? I'm assuming, would you do Cajun Allen for a 27 to 28 second for 2's 20? I'm confused here. If it's Cajun Allen for the 2 seconds, I would rather have the 2 seconds. Pretty easy. But I guess I'm having a hard time following Jay the Don. I'm having a hard time following where the part of the question is in here. Wouldn't be mad if the Ravens... That's not a bad spot. That's not a bad spot. I do like Adam Randall, but that's not a bad spot for sure. Oh, he says for Swift. Yeah, I'd do the 2 seconds and Allen for Swift. I would rather have Swift. I think he's a little bit undervalued right now, especially with the Monungai injury. So, good shout on the landing spot there for the Ravens. And Johnny, appreciate you, bro. Thank you for tapping in and hanging out with us. No worries, Jay the Don. Appreciate you. But we are all caught up, folks. And like I said, we are wrapping up that hour. So, appreciate you guys. As always, do me the favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all that good stuff. No live stream next week. I'm going to be in Las Vegas. I'm going to be doing a redraft league of my own. We do a destination draft every year. We go to Las Vegas. We do all the whole nine. So I'm going to be there next week, but you guys will still get content all next week. And then we'll be back. Once I'm back, 3 live streams a week. So I'm excited for that. See you guys soon though. So I have nothing else for you today. See you on the next one. Peace out.